It was a casual afternoon when students were returning to their homes from school. A sudden procession of special military-grade vehicles moving on the road, with quite special students in tow. The vehicles were branded with the symbol of Warrior High. A few years back, terrifying events occur out of nowhere. Gates and portals opened across the vivid sky, with monsters flowing out, terrorizing the world. Later on, it was scientifically concluded that a planet similar to Earth existed far away across the universe. The certain planet had mysteriously exploded, and the remnants flew towards Earth. Parts of both the planets started to fuse. It was termed as adhesion phenomena. That was how the unusual and monstrous flora and fauna were introduced on Earth. It affected 17% of the entire planet. As the monsters raged, humans started to lose control over the lands, and the dangerous territories were eventually termed dungeons. The unknown monsters were strong, unlike the humans who weren't prepared for such a sudden a scenario. But they were fortunate. The other world had brought not just disasters alongside it. The limitations the humans of Earth had previously also shattered. They acquired tremendous powers to deal with the monsters they faced. Although the situation affected every human equally, the powers they awakened was variable individual to individual. The chosen humans started to train their body and skills, with a sole reason: to regain their control over what was theirs. These certain humans were called adventurers. That was how the age of dungeons and adventurers began. When both clashed and humans emerged victorious, the entire world acknowledged their accomplishments and were inspired by them. Soon enough, centers and organizations engaging in training adventurers emerged. And amongst them, the best institution in the Republic of Korea, which had managed to produce the best adventurers for the past 25 years, was the world-renowned Warrior High School. While the returning students were discussing the school, girls shout and scream at the sight of a half-elf, Daev Choi. He was a first-year student at Warrior High who had survived the dungeon 14 times. His father was a famous adventurer himself and mother, an elf. He apparently was a genius and future top ranker. While the two friends argue it out, deciding their next destination, they ask their third friend, Jaryong, if he was yet again off to work. He apologizes, while looking at his phone's screen. It was a notification to pay the hospital bills that were due. One of the guys complains, while the other punches him, saying that it was understandable. When he goes off, he asks his friend to be more sensitive and reasonable. On his way back, a notification from a certain person named Chief appears on his screen, notifying he had work and asking him to come over. He walks into a rundown subway, where the apparent Chief, Jae-hwan, shows him of the client of the day. At the sight of a student, the client shouts at Jae-hwan, demanding answers since he asked for the best, but a kid had showed up, feeling he was being scammed. Jaryong mockingly calls for the bodyguard the client had brought alongside him as if a former adventurer. At his rude remarks, the client starts screaming yet again, but the bodyguard adventurer hushes him.